cigars or something, you would, and this game is the closest to the early and first modern pinball machine. Because if you look there, the bagatelle game has no glass and it has no coin mechanism. Here we have a coin mechanism. You put a nickel in the chimney, you turn it, brings the ball up, and you shoot the ball. And if you get it in the hole, you win 20 cigars, 5 cigars, 2 cigars. These were so inventive that if you look at the side, each drawer would tell as you pulled it out what a person had won, whether he won cigars. And so this is actually the rarest piece we own in the entire museum.
Wow.
And so we have represented, if you have a nickel, that'll work.
Really?
Yeah.
Can I put it in?
Sure. Normally we have nickels on there, but somebody's been stealing on nickels.
32 or 33 years ago, I went to Sacramento to visit my girlfriend. No, it's even more than that.
And where did you go?
We went to the El Dorado School.
It's still there. Yep.
I
Exact
didn't know anything
same
about it.
bar is still there.
Before I met David, but it's
Young lady, you know, you'll
I
have to
want
be
a
moving.
nickel. I want a nickel.
You ladies. By the way, these two men are playing cards and they're cheating.
I'll give you a dime.
Dimes don't work.
No, I'm going to give her a dime for giving me a nickel.
There's a traffic jam going on.
I'm sorry.
Put it in here. Turn the handle to the right.
Dave,
And
Oh,
the ball
the ball
comes
came
up.
out.
Now shoot it. And you have 1-0. Sorry.
Boo.
Try again. The
I think
next
I lost the
room.
roulette game.
The next room is 1947, October of 1947. It's the design room of the Gottlieb factory in Chicago, Illinois. Two men, Harry Mabs and Wayne Nyans, were working on a game, and they invented the flipper. Flipper. This game, Humpty Dumpty, is the first game that ever had flippers. And there you can play the first game with flippers. Now, if you look, this is the inside of the game, and the flippers are simply run by one simple solenoid and a plunger. Pushes up and down when the magnetic field is engaged. You don't have to do that again.
It's a ball fell.
Yeah, you get 5 balls to a game. Sharita, you're a queen. So for the first time, the game went from a game of chance to a game of skill. Changed the history and course of pinball.
Ooh, you got a bonus.
I get lots of bonuses. I own this stupid thing. So this is the room that man, Harry Mabs, and that man, Wayne Nyans, worked. Harry for 15 years, Wayne for 30.
Did you get it? John, you didn't do very
Push
well.
here. Push in.
There you go.
Yes, and pull. You have to go downstairs, hon.
Me?
You
Ready?
You ready? Hit it.
There, yes, excellent.
There you go.
And if you look there, when it hits Humpty Dumpty will fall down as he hits the bumpers. He will fall down the wall. That's called light animation. So you are now in 1947.
1947.
Yeah, top of that game. And when you leave here from 1947 to 1960, you enter the golden age of pinball.
Get it.
And these are all the games that were produced during that period of time.
I don't want to do this.
Wait 1 second.
You have 10 cents?
No,
No. I think
I don't have any.
no money?
Just bills.
You have any trouble money?
Bills. No, not
What?
bills.
Oh, gee, oh.
Ah, that's good.
going?
Good morning.
Pretty much it. I went to play the Jurassic Park one.
Oh, yeah.
We almost got
I've
it
been like
all.
7 times. I get like 3 or 4 million all in one ball. If I remember properly, you got a little spin area from the top left. I haven't seen it in such a long time.
Pictures, most of them are pictures on, well, that's not allowed, because then they would have to get,
Right. So that's why I don't remember John ultimately being on it, but I guess if it is that era.
on the back there, on that weird floor.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Oh, on the book, but I'm just saying it's Disco. I'm just saying, but the actual pinball, Disco Fever, right? I don't remember him being on the actual.
Parker, where's Dad?
Back list.
You find when you want to play?
First game that I had sound. That man right there. I didn't like that. A doorbell with a battery. So it's the first game that ever had a solenoid, the first game that ever had sound. His boss, they tried to joke with his boss. His boss came in, and every time the bell would go off, he thought it was his telephone. So after the third time, he finally said, no, it's the machine. He put 2 machines side by side in an arcade. The one that had
Do
the
these
bell.
machines take coins?
Yeah.
Oh, so they'll work on coins. They still work. Quarters or dime?
All these games are games that have no flippers.
We can ask him.
These are retrofitted games, meaning that these were made before the flipper was invented, but they actually added flippers to them, so you can see the old posts. And so because once the flipper was invented, nobody wanted to play a game that didn't have flippers. So they said, well, instead of losing the value of the game, let's add a bunch of flippers to them and make them flipper games. That way, there you go. Push this in. There you go. Remember, the flippers are there, not there. So, and one flipper does both flippers. One button does both flippers. So you don't push them both together because you can actually short circuit it, because either one will do the flipper. Cool. Cool, kid.
What about the legality? I noticed that information on the one of the other rooms.
You're right.
So there was some problems with the law with some of these machines.
Well, the first 5 games were actually games that paid out.
Oh, I see.
So they were horse race games. If you put a nickel in and the ball landed in the right hole where the horse landed,
Yeah.
you would get the odds. So if it's 1-5, you get 5 nickels for the
Really?
1 nickel. They were totally against the law, but they were in certain areas of the country
I see.
until they finally organized enough to say they're not allowed.
Okay.
Fiorello LaGuardia, the mayor of New York,
Right.
disallowed pinball in New York City, and New York City, Chicago, which made pinball machines, and LA were 3 cities that disallowed the playing of pinball machines. It took Roger Sharp, the guy in the right.
Regardless of what.
Yeah, they didn't distinguish between a game that paid out and a game that was just entertainment. They just simply banned the
Why?
ball
It's just
because they were
entertainment.
stupid. What happened in a lot of cases was that they convinced the public that these were bad influences on young people, like, pool, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And they were all publicity stunts.
Right.
It convinced people of these cities to say, oh, the mayor is doing a great job. He's outlawed a terrible, terrible
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It took till 1976 for a man named Roger Sharp to convince them that pinball was a game of skill, not a game of gambling.
Right.
And from 1976 on, pinball was allowed. There are still certain areas of the country where pinball is considered gambling.
What part?
Little towns.
Oh, little town.
Because each town can decide
Yeah,
what they want.
That's right.
The eastern shore of Maryland, for years, you could
Right.
have gambling games. They had gambling pinball games all the time.
Yeah.
And then they finally outlawed them, and they're not allowed. The games that we have are gambling games, but we're not allowed to have people play them because you can win money,
Right.
which is against the law.
Yeah, but but win free games is not a problem.
Well, in certain states, winning free games was a problem.
Right.
So in 1961, Alvin Gottlieb, the son of David Gottlieb,
Right.
and Wayne Irons, the guy who invented the flipper,
Right.
developed a technique called add-a-ball.
Uh-huh.
And there's an add-a-ball game in the pay-to-play room.
Right.
And add-a-ball was not getting a free game, but it was getting a free ball.
Right.
That was not gambling because it was part of the same game. You weren't getting anything free. You were just extending the play of that game. So that was every state in the country had different laws, and the manufacturers had to figure out different ways to make games that they would be legal. There's an exhibit there called Roll Down on the other side.
Yeah.
Wisconsin thought that plunging the ball, shooting the ball from that was gambling. So they had to come up with a new...
Why is that?
Because somehow, if you shoot, that's, that's fate determines where the ball lands. So that's gambling.
Huh.
Anything that you can win is a thing of value. A thing of value is gambling. So they developed a new technique where they got rid of the plunger. One game over there, it works. Two pieces of glass, one on top of each other. Instead of plunging, when you pushed here, the ball would come out in your hand. You take the ball and throw it down the glass, it would come down the top, and that was supposedly not gambling. And so Wisconsin was the only state, it's some of the rarest games we own because they didn't make very many of them.
Right.
So those games actually, for 5 cents, you got 5 balls that you threw down the glass, couldn't win a free game, and you'll see 3 of the games have actual skirt boxes, no legs.
Right.
So instead of the ability to shake, which they considered gambling because you could control and move they put these skirts so you can't even budge those games. So those games are called roll down games.
Okay.
No plunger. Just put the money in, push the thing, and the ball comes out. Now, if you figure out the game costs 5 cents, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure a ball wasn't less than a penny. So if you stole the 5 balls, you had more value than the nickel.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought that they had it backwards on that gambling thing. Because in point of fact, the more things that you can control, the less is it a game's chance.
Exactly, but they thought
But I know what you're saying. That was the way the law worked.
every state, every principality decided what they wanted. If the town council thought kids were being, corrupted by playing a game of pinball. Even when I was a kid and I started playing pinball, they were always under that kind of cloud of these are bad things. I mean, it's true that the mafia, the Chicago, they would come in, and say, okay, if you don't give us a percentage of your money made on a pinball machine, we're going to destroy your pinball machine.
It's like the cigarette machine.
Right.
And the whole
So
vending
that
industry.
whole imagery was like, oh, they were controlled by the mafia. So until people realized, and got rid of that kind of nonsense, these were games of skill. The more you learn how the game was played, even the guy is giving the sense of how far you pull your plunger back, so that if you practice enough, you know that by bringing it to 4, it'll always go to there. So you're actually, this helped you determine where the ball would go. So there's a lot more skill in pinball than there is in just chance.
Did anyone get arrested on this? Or
Oh my God.
anybody go to jail?
The police, if you go to that exhibit on
Right.
there's one article that's on the wall talking about the police would confiscate the games. Even Fiorello LaGuardia would have shiploads of pinball machines, and they'd go into the Hudson River and dump them. But one of the articles talks about the police confiscating the games,
Right.
Setting it up in the
setting them up in the basement of the police department, and charging their own policemen.
pornography.
And they finally all went to jail. Some of the games that I own
Yeah.
are in such good condition because the police took them out,
Right.
brought them in their own basements of their own homes.
Okay.
One particular game in there, which is almost perfect condition, looks like it was barely used, I got from a woman who she said her husband passed away and she wanted to get rid of it. Her husband was a policeman. That's how I got the game. I mean, there's so many different stories about.
Where are you going to be You're going to be moving?
Well, we're in negotiations right now to move to Baltimore.
Okay.
Because we can't afford Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
They'd rather keep stores empty
Right.
than work with us, because we're a nonprofit, so
Right.
we're not full of a lot of money. It took us a considerable amount of money to build this
Right, I
place
could see that.
with the intention of being here.
Right.
This building, the owners of this building defaulted on their loan, and this whole building went up for auction.
Right.
Bought by a new company who came in October of last year and said, "You're all out."
Right.
So by December, everyone in this building has to be out of it.
Right.
They're going to renovate the whole interior.
Right.
They don't own the condominiums above us, so they can't tear the building down. They can only tear the walls out, except all these big columns, and then redesign the whole place. So we have, today's the what? 4th or 5th?
Good.
We have 11 days. It took us 6 months to build this whole place. We have 11 days to get out of it. Off of Light Street.
Down by Rebel Place,
Yes.
right? In one of the buildings along Harbor Place.
A 4-story building independent. And it's right next to Chris Steakhouse. It's in the water on Light Street here in Cleveland. But we're waiting for their board of directors to determine whether they're going to okay it. Was occupied by another non-profit. So we have a better chance of getting it because it's like.
Oh no.
Do we have a judgment against you, or is this
This is good to keep it on the computer. Oh, that's cool.
And that license agreement had a stipulation that said we're having out in 60 days. The previous company
No money.
said they were going to continue the license. Renovate. But, and that we could be here for 10 years by the time they decided what they were going to do, but then they went